If you've ever dealt with toxic people, you've probably been told the same advice over and over. Set boundaries, walk away, cut them off, go no contact. And while that's valid for some situations, it's not always realistic. What if it's your boss, your coworker, a family member you can't avoid? What if leaving isn't an option right now? The conventional wisdom says you're stuck, that toxic people will always manipulate, control, and drain you, and your only power is to remove yourself from the equation. But here's what the Stoics discovered that modern psychology often misses. You don't need to control toxic people through force, manipulation, or confrontation. You control them by understanding exactly how they operate, and then strategically becoming someone they cannot manipulate. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca dealt with emperors, tyrants, and toxic individuals daily. They didn't always have the luxury of walking away. Instead, they mastered the art of influence without conflict, compliance without surrender, and getting what they needed while keeping toxic people exactly where they wanted them. Here at Stoic Pathway, we've studied these ancient principles for years and applied them to modern toxic dynamics. Workplace politics, difficult family members, manipulative relationships. We've shown hundreds of thousands of viewers how to reclaim their power, not by fighting harder, but by thinking smarter. The strategies we share aren't manipulative tricks. They're ethical, psychologically sound methods rooted in 2,000 years of proven Stoic wisdom. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal specific tactics the Stoics use to influence difficult people and get cooperation, even from those who initially resist. These aren't theories. They're practical strategies you can use immediately. If you're tired of feeling powerless around toxic people, smash that like button, share this with someone who needs it, and comment below telling me your biggest challenge with toxic people. Let's begin. Strategy 1. Control the frame of every interaction. Here's the first principle. Whoever controls the frame controls the interaction. The frame is the underlying context and assumptions that guide a conversation. Toxic people are masters at setting the frame. They position themselves as the victim, the authority, or the judge, forcing you to react defensively. But Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you control the frame, you decide the terms of engagement. You're no longer playing their game, they're playing yours. Think of it this way. If a toxic colleague frames every conversation as you against them, you'll constantly defend yourself. But if you reframe it as two professionals solving a problem together, suddenly the entire dynamic shifts. The frame determines who has power, and most people never realize they can choose the frame instead of accepting the one handed to them. Here's how to apply this immediately. Before any interaction with a toxic person, decide your frame in advance. What narrative do you want to establish? What assumptions do you want them to accept? Then state your frame confidently at the beginning of the conversation and hold it steady. Example, your toxic boss constantly frames meetings as, "Why haven't you done enough?" This puts you in defensive mode, listing everything you've accomplished. Instead, you control the frame. Walk in and say, "I wanted to update you on the progress we're making on the Johnson project and get your input on prioritizing the next phase." You've just reframed the conversation from, "You're underperforming," to "We're collaborating on progress." Your boss might try to shift the frame back, but if you calmly redirect every time, "Yes, and that's exactly why I want to prioritize these next steps with you," you maintain control. Another example, a toxic family member loves the frame of, "I'm just trying to help you because you clearly can't handle things yourself." Don't argue against it. Reframe it entirely. "I appreciate that you care. I've got this handled, but I'll definitely reach out if I need support." You've shifted from helpless person needing rescue to capable person who values their input but doesn't need it. Practice this today. Identify one upcoming interaction with a toxic person. Write down their typical frame. Then create your frame. one that positions you as calm, capable, and in control. Start the conversation with your frame and refuse to be pulled into theirs. This matters because once you control the frame, you control the power dynamic without ever raising your voice or getting confrontational. Toxic people lose their grip when you refuse to accept the reality they're trying to create. But controlling the frame is just the beginning. Once you've established your terms, you need to make sure toxic people actually follow them. That's where the second strategy becomes crucial. You must train them to comply through strategic reinforcement. Strategy 2. Reward compliance, starve resistance. Here's a psychological truth toxic people don't expect you to know. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. Behavior that gets ignored eventually stops. Toxic people constantly test boundaries because historically, their resistance has been rewarded, either with your attention, your emotional reaction, or you backing down. Seneca observed, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." You must become strategic about what you reinforce. When they comply with your boundaries or requests, you make it pleasant. When they resist, you make it unrewarding. This isn't manipulation. It's basic behavioral psychology. You're not tricking them. You're simply creating an environment where cooperation is easier and more rewarding than resistance. Toxic people, like everyone else, will naturally gravitate toward what benefits them. Here's the formula. When a toxic person does what you want, even partially, you acknowledge it warmly and make the interaction smooth and positive. When they resist or push boundaries, you become a brick wall. Emotionally unavailable, boring, and unresponsive. No anger, no lectures, just absence of reward. Real example, I had a toxic colleague who would constantly interrupt me in meetings, talking over my presentations. I tried asking her to stop. It didn't work. So I changed strategies. The next time she interrupted, I stopped talking immediately. No frustration, no fighting for the floor, just silence. The room became awkward. She finished her point, and I calmly waited 3 seconds before continuing exactly where I left off, as if she hadn't spoken. I did this consistently. Within 2 weeks, her interruptions decreased by 80%. Why? Because interrupting me stopped being rewarding. She wasn't getting the reaction, the argument, or the attention she wanted. On the flip side, during a meeting where she actually let me finish a point, I immediately acknowledged her. "Thanks for that input. I think we can integrate both perspectives here." I made cooperation pleasant and productive. Over time, she learned. Cooperating with me, smooth, positive interactions. Resisting me, boring, unrewarding silence. Another scenario, toxic family member constantly asks invasive questions. When they respect your boundaries and keep conversation appropriate, you engage warmly, asking them questions, being present, showing interest. When they cross the line with invasive questions, your responses become minimal. "I'd rather not discuss that," followed by polite but distant small talk. You're not punishing them. You're just making boundary crossing deeply unrewarding while making respectful interaction enjoyable. Your practice this week. Identify one behavior you want from a toxic person. When they exhibit it, reward it with warmth, acknowledgement, or engagement. When they resist, become emotionally unavailable. Not angry, just boring and unrewarding. This strategy is powerful because you're not trying to change toxic people through confrontation. You're creating an environment where cooperation serves their interests. You're training them without them even realizing it. But here's where it gets more sophisticated. You can't just wait for them to comply on their own. You need to make compliance feel like their idea in the first place. That's where language becomes your weapon. And the third strategy shows you exactly how to do it. Strategy 3. Speak in assumptions, not requests. Here's a communication secret that changes everything. Requests invite negotiation. Assumptions invite compliance. When you ask a toxic person, "Can you do this?" or "Would you be willing to?" You've opened a door for them to say no, to negotiate, to make demands. But when you speak in assumptions, as if their cooperation is already decided, you bypass their resistance entirely. Marcus Aurelius understood. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The way you frame your language shapes reality. Speaking in assumptions means you communicate as if the outcome is already settled, leaving no room for debate. You're not being aggressive or demanding, you're simply stating what will happen with calm certainty. Here's the technique. Replace questions and requests with statements of assumption. Instead of "Can you send me that report by Friday?" you say, "I'll need that report by Friday." Instead of "Would you mind keeping your voice down?" you say, "Let's keep our voices down so we don't disturb others." The assumption is embedded. Cooperation is the default. Real example. I needed a chronically uncooperative team member to attend a planning meeting. Old approach. "Can you make it to the planning meeting Thursday at 2? This invites, I'm busy. Can we reschedule? Do I really need to be there?" New approach. "The planning meeting is Thursday at 2. I'll send you the calendar invite." No question, no negotiation, just the assumption of attendance. He showed up. Why? Because saying no now requires him to actively push back against an established reality, which takes more effort than just complying. Another scenario, toxic neighbor plays loud music late at night. Weak approach. "Would you mind turning down your music?" This invites debate. Assumption approach. "I need you to keep the volume down after 10 p.m. Appreciate it." You've stated the expectation as fact, not as a request open for discussion. Here's your language upgrade for this week. Replace "can you" with "I need you to." Replace "would you mind" with "please action." Replace "is it possible" with "here's what we're doing." One important note, tone matters. You're not barking orders, you're calmly stating what will happen. Confident, not aggressive. Matter of fact, not bossy. Your tone should communicate. This is simply how things are. This strategy works because toxic people are opportunistic. They push back when they sense hesitation or when you give them an opening. Speaking in assumptions closes that opening. You're not fighting them, you're simply not inviting the fight in the first place. But even with perfect language, some toxic people will still test you. They'll push back verbally, waiting for you to engage in endless debate. That's where your most powerful weapon comes in. And it's not words, it's the strategic absence of them. Strategy 4. Use strategic silence to create pressure. Most people fear silence in conflict. They rush to fill gaps with explanations, justifications, or arguments. Toxic people exploit this. They know if they create tension, you'll talk yourself into backing down. But Epictetus taught, silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life. Strategic silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. When used correctly, silence creates psychological pressure that makes toxic people uncomfortable, forcing them to either comply or reveal their true intentions. Silence works because humans are hardwired to resolve tension. When you refuse to fill the awkward gap, the pressure shifts entirely to the other person. They either have to openly refuse, which exposes them, ask clarifying questions, which shows their resistance is weakening, or simply comply to end the discomfort. Here's how to use strategic silence. After you make a request or set a boundary, stop talking. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't fill the silence. Just wait. Let them sit with the discomfort. Their response will tell you everything you need to know. Example, your toxic coworker asks you to cover their shift again the third time this month. Old response, "I can't because I have plans. And actually last time I covered for you, I had to cancel my own things and it's just not fair that." You're defending, explaining, giving them ammunition. New response, "No, I'm not available." Then silence. They might push, "Come on, just this once." You respond, "I'm not available." Silence again. Hold it. Don't break. The discomfort is doing the work for you. Most of the time, they'll either back off or reveal that they're just being selfish, which makes it easier for you to hold firm without guilt. Another powerful application in negotiations or confrontations. Toxic boss says, "I need you to take on this extra project with no additional pay." Old, you would argue, explain your workload, defend your position. New you, that doesn't work for me. Then complete silence. Look at them calmly, wait. The silence creates pressure. They'll either backtrack, well, maybe we can adjust, ask what would work for you, giving you negotiating power, or openly admit they're taking advantage. Well, you're just going to have to deal with it, which clarifies the relationship and your next steps. Your practice. This week, after setting a boundary or making a request with a toxic person, practice holding silence for at least 5 full seconds. Don't explain, don't justify, just wait. Notice how the pressure shifts from you to them. Strategic silence is powerful because it removes your emotional labor from their equation. You're not doing the work of convincing them. You're making them do the work of either complying or openly admitting they don't respect you. Either outcome gives you clarity and power. But here's the final piece that brings everything together. Even the most toxic people have one massive vulnerability you can exploit ethically: their ego. And when you learn to make their ego work for you instead of against you, you become unstoppable. Strategy 5, make their ego work for you. Here's the ultimate strategy. Toxic people are driven by ego. They need to feel superior, important, validated. Most people see this as a weakness to attack. They try to humble toxic people or prove them wrong. Big mistake. Instead, the Stoics understood something brilliant. You can make someone's ego work in your favor. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." You don't fight their ego. You strategically feed it in ways that serve your goals. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding human psychology and working with it, not against it. When you make a toxic person feel important, superior, or validated while getting exactly what you want, everybody wins. They get their ego stroked. You get your desired outcome. The trick is doing it strategically, not desperately. Here's the formula. Identify what feeds their ego, then frame your requests in ways that make compliance feel like their idea, their superiority, or their generosity. Real example. I had a toxic manager who needed to feel like the smartest person in the room. When I needed approval for a project, I used to present it as my complete idea. He'd tear it apart to assert dominance. I changed strategies. I'd present 80% of the idea, then ask, "I feel like something's missing here. With your experience, what would you add?" His ego couldn't resist. He'd add suggestions, often the exact things I'd intentionally left out. And suddenly it became his improved idea. Approval was instant, because rejecting it would mean rejecting his own brilliance. Another scenario. Toxic family member who needs to feel like the helper. When you need something from them, don't ask directly. Frame it as needing their unique expertise or generosity. Instead of, "Can you watch my kids Saturday?" Try, "You're so great with the kids, and I know they'd love to spend time with you Saturday if you're available. No pressure, but I thought I'd ask." You fed their ego. You're great with kids. While making the request, feel like you're offering them an opportunity to be the hero, not asking for a favor. For toxic people who need to feel superior, you've handled situations like this before. What would you do in my position? They feel validated as the expert, and often they'll either give you useful advice or, even better, offer to help directly because helping you reinforces their superiority. For toxic people who need to be liked, "I really value your opinion on this," or "I was hoping I could count on you for." They're more likely to comply because refusing would contradict their self-image as someone people rely on. Your assignment: identify what feeds your toxic person's ego. Is it feeling smart, important, generous, needed? Then, the next time you need something from them, frame it in a way that lets compliance feed that exact ego need. This final strategy is powerful because you're no longer fighting against their nature. You're working with it. You get what you need while they get what they crave. It's ethical influence, not manipulation, because you're not deceiving them. You're simply understanding what motivates them and aligning your requests accordingly. When you combine all 5 strategies, controlling the frame, rewarding compliance, speaking in assumptions, using strategic silence, and making their ego work for you, you become someone toxic people can neither manipulate nor ignore. You've shifted from being their victim to being their strategist, and that changes everything. Conclusion: here's the truth that changes everything. You were never powerless against toxic people. You just didn't have the right strategies. When you control the frame, reward compliance, speak in assumptions, use strategic silence, and make their ego work for you, you're not fighting harder, you're thinking smarter. You're not becoming toxic yourself, you're becoming strategic. And there's a massive difference. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Toxic people were your obstacle. Now they're your opportunity to practice mastery. Mastery over your emotions, your strategies, and your outcomes. These aren't manipulation tactics. They're psychological principles rooted in 2,000 years of Stoic wisdom about human nature, influence, and power dynamics. I've applied these exact strategies in toxic workplaces, difficult family situations, and manipulative relationships. The results were consistent. Toxic people either started cooperating or they revealed themselves so clearly that walking away became easy and guilt-free. Either way, I won. You're no longer at their mercy, constantly reacting to their chaos. You're calm, strategic, and in control, exactly where the Stoics taught us to be. Your mission this week: choose one toxic person in your life and apply just one of these 5 strategies. Start small, master one before moving to the next. Real power doesn't come from knowing all 5 intellectually. It comes from applying them consistently until they become second nature. If this video gave you a new perspective on dealing with toxic people, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs these strategies. Subscribe to Stoic Pathway for more ancient wisdom applied to modern challenges. We're building a community of people who refuse to be victims. And drop a comment telling me, which strategy are you trying first? I read every comment and often reply with specific advice for your situation. Remember, toxic people only have the power you give them. Take it back, not through confrontation, through strategy. Now go apply what you've learned and reclaim your power.